More than in the past time, today we know very well how the gas energy crisis in the world we are going through it is a very important challenge for every nation and for our future. The present day reminds us how important and necessary it is a progress towards renewable energy sources and how a widespread ecology could bring us to improve our lifestyle. We know that the low-impact renewable resources on the planet can be used repeatedly and don't run out because are naturally placed with endless supply, such as solar, wind, water, geothermal, and biomass energy. The disadvantage of renewable sources is that may not be available for use when needed. For example, the ability to collect solar energy may be limited when the sky is overcast or when water energy depends on weather conditions. Today, the excessive exploitation of the terrestrial soil by human beings and unbridled running as in the past as now through the use of fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, oil and uranium is progressively leading to depletion of these resources as well as damaging our ecosystem. However obvious it might seem, the use of fossil resources such as oil, on which depends a large part of industrial civilization, actually we have to firstly consider the extremely long time it takes nature to create fossil resources. Oil is a fossil resource which born following the deposition of organic remains, such as protozoa and unicellular algae. The sediment action due to the high temperature and pressures over the time bring them to chemical, organic and molecular transformations. These transformations evolve into the common crude oil millions of years later. Then, if we talk about gas, the formation process is similar to oil process. Gas needs a long period of time to form, equivalent to 60 million years. This transformation takes place below the very high depth of the Earth's surface, through the natural fermentation of plants and microorganisms' organic remains. With this decomposition processes, these rests are gradually covered by sediments and rock layers, getting closer to the air crust. This event combustion breaks up the natural ligaments, producing thermogenic methane gas. The advantage of non-renewable sources is that they are readily available now, and the infrastructure for their use exists to produce power on demand. The top 5 countries where gas reserves take place are Russia, Iran, Qatar, Turkmenistan and United States. While the mondial oil reserves are based in Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Iran, Iraq, Russia, Kuwait and UAE. As we have seen, UAE are among the 10 largest oil producers. Only the 30% of UAE GDP is directly based on oil industry, on which the government continues to rely on profit exports that worth high revenue. But historically, how has been discovered the actually UAE oil richness? The 90% of oil reserves in UAE are based in Abu Dhabi, with an estimate of 92 billion of barrels. Abu Dhabi is almost described as one of the most rich cities in the world, which represents 2/3 of the UAE GDP as one of the highest in the world. And it is where the first crude oil was discovered in 1958. As far as Dubai can be considered as one of the most luxurious and richest cities in the world, actually Dubai GDP represents only half compared to Abu Dhabi, and the Dubai oil gains are just 1% of the total. UAE total oil estimate is up to 97 billions of barrels proven reserves. For the actual consumption's rhymes near to 3 million barrels a day are expected 299 years before oil runs out. The Abu Dhabi oil history began in the 30s of the last century, when the area was just a little poor fisherman's village on the edge of the desert, and obviously was the exact opposite of the modern city we know today. The ancient and local Abu Dhabi economy prospered thanks to fishing, the famous purse trade, and the date plantations. These realities were surrounded by Bedouin local settlements. Between 30s and 30s, the rural Sheikh Shakbut bin Sultan Al Nahyan needed to find a water supply for the local village. He heard about Major Frank Holmes' works, who led the water drilling in the near Bahrain, the first site of the Persian Gulf where oil was discovered in 1932. At the beginning, the near countries, as Saudi Arabia, which discovered the first oil in 1938, were already getting in touch with Western companies to find out the Arabian oil. So it was even like this Shakbut's leadership became passionate to these explorations and began to want to do the same for Abu Dhabi sites. He started to provide a lot of concession to Western companies to bring the necessary equipment and begin the oil sets explorations. Between 30s and 50s, the first drilling attempts in Jebel Ali was unsuccessful and weakened by the ongoing sandstorms. The Western companies saw were enough shore to find oil sets, but they still trying to find it. In 1951, under 1,000 depth feet in Marban wells, some oil traces were discovered. After 7 years, the company's accurate search sensor found the first crude oil in Shai field, but only 4 years later began large-scale consumptions and exports of crude oil. In the first 60s, the successful oil trade began to bring enormous richness to the Sheikh leadership, and when he benefited from these early treasures, he started to save most of this money, believing the oil gains would not last forever, and later he withdrew politically. In 66, Shakbut's younger brother Zaid took the power with a different vision, thinking instead oil and the resulting oil gains would revolutionize the city. He thus began to start a massive schools, housing, roads construction program, investing mainly in electricity, water networks, and sewage systems. Zaid's philosophy was that resources gained had to be fully utilized for people's real needs. Men and women started to benefit by education, employment, and equality rights. When Britain left Persian Gulf in 1971, Sheikh Zayed became one of the main forces to be the United Arab Emirates on December 2nd. Zayed was conscious that oil revenue would last forever, so he decided to create an investment fund for transferring the ability to invest money to a single organization, keeping away the action from the government. Today, the UAE population has passed from poor condition to a very high lifestyle. Recently, Abu Dhabi has passed from oil-based economy to a touristic and services economy. The luxury hotels, the parks, the skyscrapers development attracts millions of expats every single year. According to the estimate, the well-being factor in UAE is bound to increase for the next few years as the sixth destination to live and work. This year, a new oil field has been discovered in Buhaza, with 650,000 of oil barrels estimate. while in 2020 the government announced a new gas field in Jebel Ali with over 80 trillion cubic meters reserves. According to the estimate, UAE should become self-sufficient in gas supply within 2030. Most of the gas in UAE is widely used for desalination plants and to supply power plants that provide air conditioning to living and working places. The current gas is imported from the third richest country, Qatar, through the Dolphin Gas pipeline. In the latest years, UAE is accelerating oil capacity to reach the strategic goal to use oil industry financial gains to support a brand new green national economy. The Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, which pumps almost all present oil, would like to be able to produce 5 million barrels a day until 2025, trying to find new future drilling sites but at the same time aiming at an important role in renewable energy development. As far as traditionally Middle East rely on Abu Dhabi fossil supplies, and we consider it as an energetically independent geographical unit, UAE as Middle East first state set zero net emissions goal by 2050, signed the Paris Climate Agreement in 2016, following the creation of Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, then winning the tender to host COP28 next year. The energy transition's pursuit and gradual efforts application to switch to green technologies is already happening. The UAE government plans to invest 600 billion dirham in clean energy sources and sustainable projects over the next 3 decades. In 2050, Dubai government launched the Dubai Clean Energy Strategy 2050, a bold plan aimed to diversify current energy sources and increase the city's dependence on clean energy. The goals are to reduce 70% carbon footprint, attracting new foreign investment and transforming the city into a renewable energy and green economy's global center. This plan will take place with the use of 40% of clean energy from solar plants, 38% of gas, 12% of coal, and 6% of nuclear energy. In 2009, UAE and USA has signed a special agreement for a peaceful nuclear energy use to supporting a high safety standard and operational transparency, so UAE becoming the first Arab country to operate a nuclear power plant, as well as the first to generate zero-emission nuclear energy. In 2012, the construction of the third-generation Baraka nuclear power plant began in Al Dhafra. The last of the 4 reactors is under construction, and once completed, the nuclear power plant will provide 5,600 megawatts, enough to serve a quarter of electricity demand, about the 25% of UAE energy needs, while offsetting over 21 million tons of emissions each year. The data collected confirm UAE as one of the countries who has one of the highest rates of sun exposure in the world, so there is a basic potential advantage to invest in solar energy. Al Maktoum Solar Park was launched in 2012 and takes its name from Dubai's rural. This plant is expected to become the largest 5,000 megawatts solar power plant in the area for the next future, whose output power will be equivalent to 25% of Dubai's total energy needs. Also includes an innovation and research headquarters and a desalination center. Then it owns the world's tallest solar power tower, which will use 700 heliostats as a mirror to magnify the sun's rays into thermal energy and store it for about 15 hours. The second solar power plant is Noor Abu Dhabi. This was launched in 2019 in Isfahan, a place in the middle of the desert, and is considered one of the largest autonomous solar power plants in the world. The project covers 780 areas hectares with 3 million high-efficiency photovoltaic modules with a net energy production of 200 gigawatt hours. This energy amount is enough to cover 90,000 homes' energy needs, while offsetting 1 million tons of carbon per year. These kinds of solar panels are usually subjected to the coastal desert heat and covered by the sand deposits. To be able to perform their capacity, these are kept clean by many robot cleaners. In 2010, Dubai's Rural launched a new futures plan, Vision 2021, a development plan considered as a nationwide initiative that aims to make UAE among the best countries in the world. Vision 2021's pillars have been mapped into 6 national priorities, which represent the key focus sector of government action, priorities that should have been achieved in 2021 as mentioned. On this plan, I would like to focus more on the last point concerning sustainable environment and infrastructure. The UAE government wants to ensure sustainable development while preserving the environment and to achieve a perfect balance between economic and social development. To do that, the UAE Vision 2021 national agenda focuses on improving the air quality index, the percentage of treated waste, the share of clean energy contribution, the networked readiness index, the quality of transport and port infrastructure, the logistics performance index, the quality of overall infrastructure, and the life services index, while decreasing the water scarcity index and the time taken to obtain a loan house from the government for UAE citizens. While by the virtue of Vision 2021, Dubai's Rural has launched also the Green Economy Initiative under the slogan A Green Economy for Sustainable Development, for seeking to become a successful global hub for a green economy. This initiative includes a range of programs and policies in the area of energy, agriculture, investment, and sustainable transport, in addition to new environmental and constructional policies. The last UAE green project I want to tell you about today is certainly one of the most innovative and futuristic work ever done. Masdar City. Masdar City is located 5 minutes away from the Abu Dhabi airport and is one of the most colossal and sustainable communities designed and implemented in the middle of the desert since 2006. Masdar is the first city with zero emissions and completely dependent on renewable sources. It is the headquarters of several local and global business, restaurants, cafes, public squares, space for free time, and residential neighborhoods. In the next future, Masdar residential spaces are expected to host 40,000 people. His where is located the headquarters of International Renewable Energy Agency, where the development and commercialization of renewable energy and desalination technology are based. Masdar City's aim is creating a community where you can move on foot or by bicycle. The actual futuristic public transport are 100% electric and autonomous, such as the brand new EcoBus. Masdar City's buildings consume up to 30% less energy and water than Abu Dhabi city center. The great city development is due to the application of real solutions in terms of energy efficiency, water, mobility, and waste reduction, aiming to achieve 10 sustainability goals. The biggest challenge was to reduce the radiant temperature by 15-20 degrees compared to the city center and maximize cooler spaces through engineering and environmental design concepts. This happened through the application of some strategies such as tree planting, shading, and exploiting the natural winds movement throughout the wind tower. The wind towers, along with the choice to create very narrow street architecture, are a cooling passive form of the Middle Eastern traditionality, cooling techniques used for 1,000 years until air conditioning modern advent. Masdar's wind tower is a modern 45-meter high cylinder. His system can detain drove and direct it to the ground level. The entire city is powered by a photovoltaic solar power plant, which is composed of 87,000 solar modules spread over a field of 32 hectares and even more on the building's roof. The solar power plant produces about 70,500 megawatts of electricity, while offset 50,000 carbon tons per year. Masdar Square is equipped with large interactive umbrellas called sky petals. These ones are designed to open automatically, provide shade and capture the solar energy during daylight hours, while releasing the stored heat at night. Another Masdar challenge is reducing the amount of water losses and waste. 99% of Masdar's waste, whenever possible, is recycled and composted, with very impressive statistics on recycling and waste treatment. About this, one of the Masdar's supermarkets is also entirely organic and with limited packaging, thus reducing waste. In 2015, Masdar's company assisted the first airplane entirely powered by solar energy, which made its first round-world flight and returned to Abu Dhabi in July 2016. Masdar City is still a reality in the making, with a rapid growth. The complete construction will take place between 2025 and 2030. In the last years, Masdar's renewable energy entered into new foreign markets and signed several partnership and investment agreements with the aim to launch new clean energy projects with different countries such as Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Greece, Iraq, and Poland. Masdar can be the UAE's message of, "We are no longer an oil nation. We are a green energy nation." And you, what do you think? Leave a polite comment if you like my video. I invite you to leave a like and subscribe to my channel.